Okay, now I'm going to quickly explain what encapsulation means. There are two definitions to it, or two things to it, but the first one is simply that one class contains the two things, the methods and the variables. Now we all know there are different names for these, but we know that a class can define two types of things. Okay, now if I jump back to the drawing board for a second, let's look at this. State and behavior. Let's say state. It's also variables. Oops. You might also hear it called data. Those variables can be, instance variables, or they can be local variables, or they can be global variables, etc. You may also hear it called fields. But all of that is state. The other thing is behavior. And you may hear behavior being called methods, functions, methods, functions, maybe operations, procedures, etc. Okay, now our person class contains some variables and some methods, so therefore it is encapsulated. That's the first part of it. The second part of it, which is called data hiding, means that the variables are private. Maybe not all of them, but we have made at least some of the variables private. Now, inside my person class at the minute, these are all by default public variables because I haven't specified anything. You can tell that because inside here I can access them directly. I can say h dot and it gives me all of them. I can change them without any type of, comeback at all or any type of check. Now, if you remember, we talked about why would we hide data? I mean, we talked about two scenarios about people walking into a bank and just lifting money or leaving their money there. And we also talked about a second scenario where you walk into a bank and you have to make a queue and go through the deposit clerk or the withdrawal clerk who checks whether you've got enough money in your bank account. Well, if we have a bank account and our balance is public, it's a little bit like just allowing people to walk into the bank and pick up any money they want to or put in any money they want to without keeping any record of it at all. Because we're allowing people to change that number without, doing anything or validating it at all. The second one is a little bit like making the balance private, but then using getters and setters, aka mutators and accessors. So I'm just going to do that now. I'm going to, by the way, inside Eclipse and a lot of other IDEs, you can do this automatically. You can just go to source, generate, generate getters and setters, and it's telling me, I have to be in the right class first. Source, generate getters and setters, and it asks me, which ones do I want to generate for, and I can just select all, and it'll do it all for me. But I'm just going to do one for now. So I'm going to do a getter. First of all, I'm going to make the first name private, and I'm going to make the last name private. Well, why not do them all? I'll make the age private, and I'll make the weight private. So if I look back at my tester program, I have now just generated some errors because here I have accessed those variables directly, and now I'm not allowed to from outside the class because I made them private. So what I've got to do is I've got to make some getters and setters. So I'm going to say public, because I'm going to make this publicly available. Public get first name, and public set first name. Come back to what they return in a second. Now, what does get first name return? Well, it returns a string because name is a string, and I'm going to say return first name. That's my get method. And in my set method, it doesn't return anything, but it receives, so it's a void there, it doesn't actually return anything, but it receives a parameter, which is, let's call it new name, Actually, we'll call it the same name as above, just so we can use our this keyword again. First name, and it's going to say this dot first name, which if you remember is the one at the very top, equals first name. So I'm resetting, or I'm setting the one on the top to be the same as the one that I've passed in. Now can you see that? So a get method for the first name returns the first name, and a set method accepts a string, or passes in a string, and sets the first name equal to whatever's passed in. If I go back to my tester class, I'll now need to change these, of course, but I can say h dot set first name, okay, and I can also say, if I want, sysout dot print line, I can say h dot get first name, so I can print out what I've just set it to. Okay, yeah, just dot out dot print line. Now, just going to comment these out for a minute, because these are going to give me compilation errors, because now I can't access those variables directly. Sorry, I can access the method, but not the variables. Just going to comment that there. And I'll go back to my human being class, and instead of doing all of these by hand, now that I completely understand what they are, I'm going to generate the rest in Eclipse, just to show you that they look the same as mine. So here we go. Source, generate getters and setters. I've already done the first name, so it knows that, so it doesn't even offer me the chance to do it. And I do all of these, and I click on go, and you'll see that it's added all of these in. Look, set weight, which receives a weight, and then sets it. Get weight, which just returns the weight. Can you see that? It's done all of them for me. So now I can go back to my tester class, and where I said I've got the first name done already, I can say h dot set last name equal McClure, or not equal McClure, to McClure. I pass in the parameter. There we go. I can say h dot set age brackets 100. I can say h dot speak is fine. There we go. So again, I have initialized my variable using the default constructor with no parameters, but in this case I've made all of the variables private inside human being, and I've provided tester methods. And just as a little interesting aside, if I wanted to stop something being modified, so for example, if I want them to stop being able to set the age, then all I have to do is go in and remove the set age mutator. If you can find it, set age. There we go. Get rid of that. So now they can only read the age and they can't set it. If they try and change the age at all, look, it's got an error because that method doesn't exist anymore. And those are the two things about encapsulation. First of all, that encapsulation is about grouping everything together in a class, the methods and the variables, the state, the behavior. And the second thing is that we can hide data by making it private, and then we can create gets and sets called accessors and mutators.